So last time I was talking about something, it was more so about my journey through starting music up to now and just kind of my viewpoint on how a lot of things work, how I view things, how others might view the same thing. And then I start to think whenever it comes to any creation we have and with an art or making movies, writing, drawing, and making music, how much of that is fantasy and how much of that is actually a reflection of oneself. And when looking back on my music, um, especially the first album, Tomorrow, it is not super obvious, but I can definitely see that it is a mixture of a reflection of my mentality that is then transformed into some kind of fairy tale. Um, and then later on, with Yesterday's Mishaps, that 100% is just straight up reflection. It's not even deniable. Maybe some exaggeration, but at the end of the day, that one's just pure reflection. With that, I guess I can go on and explain um, pretty much what Tomorrow's about. Tomorrow is a fairy tale, in a sense, about a man who just wants to make it into space. And it's not even just the idea of, space is amazing. It's more just there's so much out there that has yet to be discovered, and you don't know if you want to conquer it or if you're just missing out on stuff. Some man, maybe even a boy, who knows? I think I was 19 or 20 when I wrote it, so I'm still growing up. Um, but basically, it's just the whole concept is someone who has everything they need already, but still wishes for more. For some reason, they just don't have enough. And at the time, that was pretty true. I had just about anything I needed to be happy, but for some reason, I still wasn't. And there's no one to blame for that. That's more how I was mentally and just how I handled that mentality. I wasn't very healthy. I wasn't very good at handling my own emotions. And that album pretty much shows it, where it's just I'm sitting down, I have these dreams of just something greater, something amazing, without realizing that the stuff I have around me already brings me that joy and happiness that it should. And throughout the story of Tomorrow, this, the protagonist, I'll say, continues on that journey, but towards the end, there's a point where he just kind of realizes, hey, this isn't everything I thought it would be. And it's the climax of the story where he starts to realize, no, I had everything I needed. And all this other stuff was just something that I pushed myself to just to realize it wasn't worth it. He loses himself. And I think that's what I started to do in my imagination of what will I do with music? What will I do with my life? It's just, I have what I want. I have what I need right now to be happy. But for some reason, it just wasn't enough. And that's what that story is about. And that was a full-on reflection of my mentality. Whether I knew it or not, it was just me explaining to people and myself that just, I'm messing up. I'm chasing this dream. I'm chasing this, fantasy life that I don't really need. I already have what I need. Fast forward a few years, I think one or two, within 3 years, I know that. I then released Yesterday's Mishaps. At this point, I had pretty much gone through some pretty life-altering things and just started writing music. And everything within that album is just straight up about my life. I don't think anything from that album is a fantasy or anything. It's just me stating my feelings and just how I feel about certain things at that time. And it was something that I really needed. And doing something like that, where it's just you being on display, can be healthy in a sense. You don't have to share it to everybody, but it's healthy for yourself to just kind of state what you're feeling, whether you write it down or say it. It's just putting it out there. And that really helps you kind of clear things through. It lets your mind kind of flow. It lets you analyze something you're thinking in a better sense. You can say it out loud. You realize, maybe that's not the right way to look at it. Maybe I'm thinking too into it. I think that album was something that I needed at the time to just kind of really vent, honestly. And again, I just think everyone has that moment where whatever their medium of choice is, they have those moments where they just need to vent and just let themselves be known, let themselves be heard. And that's what that album was. Eventually, I decided to release In Case You're Listening. And that was 2024. And I think at this point, as far as my journey with my own personal mentality and just my mental well-being, I had found a state of closure on a lot of things. And I really think that that album was one of my best reflective pieces of work. that also had a sort of fantasy aspect to it. Not in the sense of, you know, a grand story of just overcoming something. It was more just an internal battle within myself and me analyzing from an outside point of view just what could I have done differently, realizing that I didn't do things differently, but just accepting it and being happy with that. Even the singles I release, there have been many times where I just use them as my own way to just kind of express my feelings, because I think I'm pretty good at explaining myself and understanding my emotions. I think I'm emotionally intelligent. I like to believe I am, but I guarantee there's times that I'm not that smart with it. I have a song called Fall in Love. One might think that the song's me talking to someone else asking, why can't you fall in love? There's all these things we do, there's all this time we spent together, but yet you still can't say these words. I know it's true, but you can't say these words. When the reality is, it's more so me talking to myself. I still have this, I don't want to say issue, but I still have this weird internal conflict. Something about love, I'm off with it still. I don't know exactly what causes it. I'm working on it, but the whole point of the song is just kind of almost me kicking myself in the pants, just saying, hey dude, come on, like, there's so many great things happening. You still can't just say you fall in love. What's so hard about it? And that's the point of that song. It's just more, and it's something that I think can relate to a lot of people. And if you feel that you're having that same kind of conflict with yourself, of just going through all these things but still having an issue with falling in love, or even admitting you're in love, I think it's a good song to listen to. I think it's very good, and it was healthy for me to write, at least. So yeah, that one was pretty much just pure reflection, and also it didn't lead me to this, but it was more of a follow-up to my idea that, what if I'm just a shitty person? What if I'm just not that great? And what if, although someone else can feel this way, what if I can't? Does that make me a bad person? It's me getting my own head. It's something that I think others could relate to, so I figured if I can write this for myself, maybe someone else can listen to that song and just kind of, you know, think to themselves, why can't I get over this? And just kind of work towards progressing to something better for themselves. Yeah, it's just one of these things where I always wanted to kind of explain to others what my music was about, why I made it. Some of it's pretty obvious. There's been some, like, in case you're listening, if you know me, you know what that album's about. But if you don't know me, it's just I want you to understand my mindset on these things and maybe help you realize that sometimes it's okay to put something out there. And even if it's not, again, public, put it on paper, put it anywhere. Just get your voice out, get your thoughts out on something so you can just see it. It's nice to get things out. Yeah, the overall topic of this whole video, along with explaining my reason for my music, is just within art, I think it's sometimes hard to tell what is, you know, a reflection, what's fantasy, or when it's a combination of both, and, you know, how much of it is. When it shouldn't really matter, but considering me and I overthink a lot, it's something that I just sit down, listen to music, whether it's my own or any other artist that's amazing. I sit there and I just think, how much of this is them? I just want to know how much of it is them and how much they're providing us into an insight of their mentality. And I just think it's pretty awesome to think that way. It's interesting, gives you a new outlook when you just intake any medium of art. Thanks for joining in on this Yap Sesh Part 2. I'll probably do more of these. It's kind of fun. The intention isn't to get a lot of views. It'd be nice if that happened, but realistically, it just feels so good to just talk out loud and just say what you want and just kind of explain your feelings, explain your thoughts. Hopefully this helps you, and hopefully you go on and realize a few things about yourself. I don't know.
Why can't you fall in love? Why can't you fall